Okay, it's time to add all the final details to our practice landscape painting. I'm kind of go from the top to the bottom, just adding a few more layers and a few more details. So I'm going to start with some blue in my palette. And I just want to add a little bit of color to the sky, make it a little darker and more dramatic. So I don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to water down this blue just a little bit. And I'm going to start mostly with water. I'm going to carefully go around these cloud shapes. And it is all right if it's a little streaky because the sky is not always perfectly even and consistent in its color. I'm actually going to be pretty careful and try not to get any wet paint on the mountains because that's going to slow me down and I'm not going to be able to go in and add any more details to the mountains if the sky is still wet. So my goal here is just to add some layers but not have to wait in between every step like I did before. So that's the plan. Okay, so I'm very lightly, mostly water, just a little bit of color on my brush. And again, not letting the wetness touch the mountains. Okay, washing my brush out. Now for the mountains themselves, I think I want just a little bit more definition. So the color that I see the most of here is brown. So I'm gonna start with some brown, and yours might be different. You might have a different color that you can see. So I'm gonna start with some brown, wash my brush out, get a little bit of green, just a little green in there. Good. So it's kind of a greenish, brownish color. All right, so making sure that my brush doesn't have too much liquid on it. Gonna roll it around a little so that it's kind of pointy. And I'm gonna go in and just add a few little details here and there in the mountains themselves. You can go around your tree, your bushes in the foreground if you want. So that's looking a little too dark and it's covering up too much of the other details I had in there from last time. So I'm just gonna water it down a little bit and try to blend it in so that it's not so dark. And maybe I'll even try to end it a little bit. All right. So I'm also going to make sure that there's just some little detail darkness at the base of the mountain. All right. Another thing you can do is every once in a while you can put some, little shapes in the background that look like trees. So basically it's just a very rough sort of triangle. Be careful that you don't make them too large because they're supposed to be super far away. If you make them too big, it's going to throw your perspective off, really make it look strange. So every once in a while, just a little mini triangle, and it's just going to look like there's little bushes back there, or trees. And I'm going to keep doing that along the bottom. Maybe every once in a while I'll have almost like a line that comes down so it looks like the mountain has a little bit of a valley groove in it. Right along the ridge of the mountain I'm going to have just some squiggly lines that I'm doing with the very tip of my brush. And it's either going to look like bushes or trees, maybe some kind of something going on back there. You can kind of leave it up to the viewer to figure out what's going on back there. I want to keep adding some trees, little small shapes that remind you of trees. They're just really small, squiggly And this will kind of look like a valley right here. Coming down, yeah, that looks good. It's just squiggly. You can probably see right here where I start with a line and I just go back and forth, kind of like that, only a little bit messier on the actual painting. Okay, so I'm doing some more squigglies. All around. And I'm going to keep adding to that, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you what to do with the other parts. Okay, so in the grassy parts, I'm going to get some green and make sure that's not too dark of a color. Maybe some more blue that I can mix with the green to make it darker, but I'm going to put it right next to it, and some yellow next to it. And so I'm going to create a little more of that yellow green. That's too dark again, so I'm going to wash my brush out and try to get a lighter color in there. And this time I'm just going to kind of stipple around my plant, just basically adding some details and some more color variations. I'm going to keep doing that. Now around the actual river itself, I'm going to dip into a little bit darker green. And I want to create maybe just like some little grasses that grow. I don't want to have such a very smooth edge all around my little river. So I'm doing little hatch marks with the very tip of the brush, just to kind of make that not so smooth. You might have a little slightly different plan for yours. Now back here where the grasses are farther away, I'm mostly just doing dots, kind of a stippling almost there. But now that really sticks out, looks really strange against the grass. So now I'm going to go back and add some areas of stippling so that the grass has some texture here and there. And I'm just going to keep doing that, and I'll show you how that turned out later. As far as these bushes that are kind of in the foreground, again, if you get some green or dark green, greenish brown on, and roll your brush so you've got the tip of your brush, you could just stipple in here and there some textures into your grass. And also in these bushes, you can go in and just add a few little details. I like to make it look like these bushes are maybe have some little buds on them and it's gonna be blooming soon. So I'll get a little black. And with a very super light touch with the very tip of my brush, I might just add some little buds, flower buds to this plant. So it looks like maybe it can blossom eventually. You can use any color, honestly, too. You could use red, you could use other colors because maybe they're berries. Mine are, I don't know. I'm making them black. That's what I had in my mind. But anything really could do, any sort of little detail. I'm also going to just take with a very light touch the black and just put a little swipe down the bushes here and there, and that's going to help give it a little detail, make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Okay, finally, I'm wanting you to get some more blue on your palette. And wash your brush out, maybe get some purple. Put it next to the blue. Okay, so you should have on your palette right now some green, some blue, purple, and with a very light touch with the tip of your brush, I want you to add some little bit of details in the water. Now, it could be, you could make these details go side to side, or you can make them follow the stream. So I think I might try that technique. Just a few little details here and there. And if it looks a little too detailed, you can, I'm gonna do a little bit more. This time I've got a little purple on my brush. All right, if it looks a little too detailed, like mine is starting to look a little too much, and then I can wet my brush. So now it's a clean brush, and I can go in and sort of lighten these or blend these lines in just a little bit, just to add some textures into the water so it doesn't look quite so flat. I'm gonna give it a little bit more three-dimensional quality. And like I said, if you wanted to do it side to side, it would make this river look a little bit more calm. I guess I'm trying to make mine look a little bit more flowing and active. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this with my own details while you finish yours, and then we will compare how our finished products look on the other side.